This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in alongside my good friend, Pierre Noujaim, Fox 9, Minneapolis. I am Paul Catalina. This is the Triple Option, a show so epically big. It is now simulcast on 2 YouTube channels.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Not one YouTube channel is not enough for me and you, my friend. We needed 2. Not 1, 2.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So we are on 2 separate YouTube channels. So please go over to the, Triple Option only channel. But we'll keep doing this. Garrett, I don't know any reason to stop in the short term, but
no, we can stretch it out.
We'll do it for a while until people get used to it, and then we'll move it over. So, we'll see. We'll just see how it all goes. But launching the new channel, you have to do. There's a lot of marketing things I didn't know, like in this business, that I'm trying to find out about. Like, oh yeah, you've got to we sell advertising, which that's how we make money. And
right.
Then when it comes to it, like, hey, how do you get the word out about that? We pretend like, hell, I don't even know. I guess you just got to hope for it. Well, sometimes you do have to buy some advertising as well. So I've done a little bit of that, a little promotion, just a little, internet ad buys to hopefully target some college football audience or some sports audience. I think now that we're going to be on our own channel, we might expand out the topics a little bit more, so that we don't get so pigeonholed into some things. Like, for example, today, Pierre, we're going to lead off talking about it. We're going to talk about the World Series because it just happened last night.
Right.
It just happened. So I also just finished. I know that this will not surprise you knowing me as a Red Sox fan, but I watched the entire documentary in 2, I would have watched it in one night, but my wife's like, I'm sleepy, let's go to bed. And I was like, damn it. All right. Yeah. She enjoyed it though. It was very good. The comeback on Netflix, I suggest you watch it. It's wonderful. And can
I ask you a question about that first though? How different is that documentary from the 30 for 30 documentary that we saw?
It's much better. It's much better.
It's better. Okay.
It's better.
Okay.
Yeah. It's better. It's the best one. People like to constantly tell me that there's 30 of them. There's 3, but I don't understand. But this 20 years, you get a little bit more perspective on it. You get maybe a little bit more unvarnished thoughts on some things with it. So, and it throws in the 20-year anniversary. You get a lot more of Kevin Millar, who
he's a character.
Oh yeah, and really kind of the catalyst for the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's weird when you think about it. Like, Kevin Millar was the guy that kind of made it all happen. Yeah. And brought the right attitude to the team. But I saw something this morning, and I actually got an Astros fan friend of mine who he tweeted an article that an Astros blogger had written about, I was there the night the Yankees aura died, and it was when the Astros beat them a few years ago, and I was like, hold on.
Yeah, wait a minute.
I was like, bullshit. No.
Yeah.
Let's get this right. So Chris Allman, who used to, sit in and host, and I need to get him back, but I sent that to Chris Allman, and he was like, no, you're right. He's like, so here's what it is. So here's the postmortem on when the Yankees stopped being the scary Yankees. They took a fatal blow in the 0-1 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
When the Diamondbacks beat them, that was a fatal blow to them. Then so they lost to an expansion team.
Right.
Then 2 years later, they lost to another expansion team. And then the year after that, the only thing that they had left in the tank was their constant beating of the Red Sox in key moments. And when the comeback happened, that killed the aura for all time. So the 2009 World Series team was just like any other World Series team from any other franchise, be it Arizona, be it the Rangers, be it whoever pops up and wins the World Series in that year. That's just what they were. They happened to have a really good team that year. They won the World Series, but they didn't win it along the way of like being, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and Whitey Ford and Yogi Berra, like the ghosts of the Yankee past have all passed on to the other side now. It's all over. So now, last night or 2 nights ago, you think, oh, here's the Yankee mystique. We got this big, moment where a fan rips the ball out, celebrated by the Yankee fans, even though we almost broke Mookie's wrist. Like, this happens. You're like, oh, here they go. And then they jump up 5-0 last night. Oh, the Yankee aura is back. It's back. It's back. Then the 5th inning happens, and bye-bye Yankee aura. Doesn't exist anymore. It's over.
As somebody who may or may not have been on the Dodgers money line last night, I thought that 5th inning was quite something, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It's like the moment that Aaron Judge dropped the ball in center field, the first thing that came to mind was, you remember how Derek Jeter would talk about, after his playing days, or even still in his playing days, he would talk about, oh, the ghosts will come out. The ghosts of Yankee Stadium will come out. Granted, that was old Yankee Stadium, but he said, oh, the ghosts will come out. And I saw it the moment when Aaron Judge dropped the ball. I said, oh, it looks like the ghosts are out. It's just, you kind of knew it was all going to come crumbling down at that very moment. And sure enough, it did. What an absolute collapse. What was it? 500 runs, 3 errors. It was something I've never seen in a World Series game. The errors that were committed from top to bottom in that type of set. And to be honest with you, I felt bad for Garrett Cole because he pitched his tail off last night.
I know, look, I feel bad for no Yankee ever.
Yeah, right.
I don't.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Garrett Cole has been a Yankee fan since he came into this earth.
Yeah.
And got to be in the World Series at Yankee Stadium, pitching a game where the Yankees had to win. And I got to tell you, I've never maybe been so, I don't want to say jealous, but kind of in awe of like getting to live out a dream like that.
The moment.
Okay, if you had told me I could be the Dallas Cowboys quarterback when I was 10 years old and that we'd be playing in the Super Bowl one day, like that would have been like, no way. Like you could have easily more convinced me that I would be an Avenger, than that, right? Like that would be more realistic. But those are the things when you're goofing around in your backyard or you're, I know every single one of us, every sports kid has played the sport by themselves while announcing the game.
Of course.
I've thrown I've hit many tennis balls pretending to, win the World Series. I've caught many touchdown passes. I was the only player. I was like Bugs Bunny, like first base, Bugs Bunny, second base, Bugs Bunny. It was me, like all over the place, just killing time as a kid. Garrett Cole, he did that too. He was in his backyard, of course, better than you and me doing it.
Of course.
Like he's pitching into a net, by himself, like doing it. And in his imagination, he's like, Game 5 of the World Series. Yankees really need a great start from Cole here. And he's just firing it in there. And then that thing that he pretended to do happened last night.
Correct.
And then all of the chowderheads around him ruined it for him.
Yeah. That's part of what makes the game so great, because it's such a finicky game and anything can happen at any time. And in my opinion, it's one of those situations where if you're going to look around the entire landscape of sports and you think to yourself, which sport would probably have the easiest time coming back from a 3-0 deficit? And I shouldn't say the easiest time, but the more likely sport that I would believe it to happen in would be baseball, because of just the finicky nature of the game. Anything could happen at any time. You're not up against the clock. It's something that could happen. And the Yankees were on their way to at least make it forcing a Game 6. But yeah, like I said, the ghosts were coming out for the wrong team. I guess the ghosts are upset that they completely tore down a museum of baseball that was old Yankee Stadium and put up that new stadium that I've been to, which is it's nice.
Fine. It's fine.
It's fine. But as somebody who has been to both, the old Yankee Stadium there's just something about it. There's something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a
there's an aura about it.
Yeah, so the new Yankee, and look, they've won World Series in the new Yankee Stadium, but it's just not. It's not that it's not that the monuments move when
even
you move.
The Yankee fans will tell you the same thing. Everybody who goes to the Bronx, like in the Bronx, would tell you that like the old Yankee Stadium there was just a little more something special to it. And for the record, I was in the backyard when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, pretending and dreaming of the moment to where I won the lottery and I could buy the Miami Dolphins and I could fire everyone. And that dream still lives actually to this day. That was my sports dream. So I'm still holding out hope. My dream of an athletic accomplishment was just a little bit different than Garrett Cole's.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think everybody, like if you could buy a professional sports franchise, or if you gave me like Bezos money and told me what am I going to do with it, that NIL collective at Florida State would be ridiculous.
Yes.
It would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I believe it, my friend. I believe it.
It would. And then, like, when leagues called me to buy teams, like, hey, do you want to buy the Dolphins? But like, I will buy the Dolphins for Pierre.
Oh.
And then, like, you just let me know when I can buy the Cowboys, because I'll do that too.
They'll tell tales about us one day. I promise you. They'll tell stories about us, and they will live in infamy. George Steinbrenner has nothing on what I would be as a pro sports owner. Nothing.
Would you, like, all throughout the organization, would you handle that personally?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Absolutely.
From top to, like, would you start, here's what would be the total Pierre way for you to do it.
Yeah.
Like, most people start with the general manager.
Yep.
And work their way down. You would start at the bottom and work your way up.
I could see it's kind of like, I view it as a little bit of like when you go to the buffet, it's kind of like, what am I in the mood for right now? You have everything in front of you. Which direction am I going to go in first? Well, it kind of depends on my mood. I might go to middle management first and say, you're fired. I might go to the bottom and say, you're fired. It would kind of just be like a Russian roulette of sorts of decision-making when it comes to who I'm going to fire.
But I do know this. The GM and head coach would be last.
Oh,
because look, it wouldn't be like, this is not like a month-long process for you.
No,
we're talking 10 days, two business weeks, like 2 business weeks of doing this, and maybe only that's what you would do. Head coach, GM, they're the last ones because you want them to feel the dread.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Without question.
So then they can tell the next guys, like, look, this mofo's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's one of those horror movies where the main character, like the killer, like is terrorizing the main character and comes to them and says, I'm going to kill you last. Like that's going to be like, and that's kind of like how it would be. I want to strike fear in the hearts of every employee that works for me. That would be my mission. Fear and terror.
You would fit in well in Miami generally.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That would fit.
And make no mistake, I'm not saying that the team would be any better with me as the owner than it is now, but I guarantee you I will do absolutely everything in my power to make sure that if we're a loser, we're going to be entertaining as a loser. I could promise you that.
I know what you wouldn't do. You would not, like Stephen Ross did, go, hey, let's drum up some interest in this team. Let me sell 1% of the team to some random Miami celebrities.
No.
Hey, Gloria Estefan, buy 1% of the Dolphins. Like, look, if you want to sell 1% of the Dolphins, but also take that money you made and go, hey, let me hire the best football people I can to make sure that we get to the playoffs and go to a Super Bowl for the first time since 1984.
Yeah.
Or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
84.
I can't tell you how much I would absolutely insist that I have 100% control ownership, not 99.9, 100% control. The buck starts and stops with me. I am a ruthless dictator when it comes to this football team. Ruthless. I don't answer to anyone.
But you get to meet Jennifer Lopez for a day.
Great. You want to do the halftime show? Fine. Are you going to help me with football decisions? No, you're not. Get the hell out of my stadium.
Listen, this is why I love Pierre. That's why I love it. but and to wrap up, like, here's the thing. That's kind of how the Dodgers did things when the new ownership group took over.
Yep.
They had I love seeing Magic Johnson out there. Like, everything that guy touches turns to gold.
Yeah.
And he's like, here's the other thing. So The only thing that hasn't worked for him is the Lakers, really. Like they've also lost they're much like the Yankees, they've also lost their mystique.
Right.
Like,
yeah, totally.
The thing about the Lakers, and it's the NBA now, it's like itinerant, so, the Lakers became great because every time they had a great run, they'd have a free agent like a Shaq come in, or Worthy, or someone like, or, Kareem would come in. Yeah. But the heart of the team was built up through them.
Yes.
That's why the Warriors were a dynasty, because the heart of the team was built up through the Warriors, right? Mm-hmm. It was built up through them, and then they would go hire guns as they needed to. Now, and this is the nature of the NBA for the most part, you're just a team of hired guns.
Correct.
You're just a team of hired guns, and I think that hurts the Lakers' mystique, because the thing is like, okay, Magic's done. Okay, it was the Bulls' time. There's this little thing like, there's this guy named Kobe Bryant that they found as well and traded for a broken down Vlade Divac.
Yes.
Like that's what they did. And then they had another like ridiculously great decade. And then now, okay, we'll just go get LeBron. Well, they only won in the bubble with LeBron, right? So like all this is not the same. That's what the Yankees kind of do now. The Dodgers are very much a team of hired guns, and I don't 100%. Know how sustainable that is, but I think in the short term now, like if you look at next year, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Bobby Miller, Tyler Glasnow are going to be the rotation, and then Walker Buehler probably walks. Maybe they bring him back as the fifth starter. I don't know. They could maybe get him on a song because of his injury history. Right. They can do whatever. They can work on the bullpen however they want. But Muncy's back. They probably sign Willy Adames, move Tommy Edman to center field, figure out what, if they bring in Teoscar Hernandez back or not. And then you've got the same team back out there again, and then Ohtani on the mound.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's going to be a scary couple of years for anybody, facing the Dodgers. It's hard not to think that they won't be the World Series favorite. I'm sure the line is already out today. I haven't looked at it, but they have to be the odds-on favorite to win it again next year. I would be shocked if that wasn't the case. The other team that I'm looking at in the National League right now that has been falling short as of late, that has talent that could potentially give them a run for their money, is Philadelphia, but Philadelphia has fallen short on their own accord as well in the last couple of years. So it's hard not to think that the Dodgers couldn't make this into a dynasty, or at worst, if they make it to the NLCS or they make it to the World Series and lose, but this will be a team kind of how I feel like the Warriors were. And this, I'm glad that you brought up like the NBA version. This is why I can never really be mad or be a Warriors hater, because they built it through the draft. They built it organically. Now I know everybody's going to say, what about Kevin Durant? Well, he was, like you said, the hired gun for 2 years, but this team also won a championship after he left, and Steph Curry put on one of the best NBA Finals performances I've ever seen in Game 4 in Boston. And that's why I can never be a Warriors hater, because this team had did it through the draft, found a way to build a team around these guys, and turn themselves into a dynasty. That's why I can never be a hater. I can't be.
The hardest thing about you can't be a Steph Curry hater in general just because he's there's nothing like, what can you say negative about him?
No, he is. I will miss Steph Curry when Steph Curry walks away from the game. I will miss him a hell of a lot more than I will miss LeBron James when LeBron James walks away from the game. And in all honesty, if I'm being objective about it, LeBron James might be pound for pound the best player to ever play the game. He very well could be. I know we can have this debate. But in terms of entertainment and a pure joy of watching the game through a player, it's Steph Curry, and it's not even close.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. LeBron, I always think that, I agree with LeBron's assessment of, why we compare players. He said it, his analogy was, it's like a bar, at the top, you have your top shelf, you've got your, good stuff. Sure. Then you've got your wells, right? But the top shelf is LeBron and Michael and Magic and Russell and, those and Kareem and those guys. Don't compare them, because here's the other reason it's not fair to compare them. The rules are different now.
Yeah.
The rules are different for Jordan. The rules are different for Bill Russell. Yep. The rules are different for LeBron.
And the way the game is played, and how in back in the day they'd run it through the big man, and then the big man is not the primary focal point of the offense anymore at this point. Yeah. The 3-point game is completely different now than it was even just 10 years ago. So I agree with that. And I don't like to go down that road. Every once in a while for the mental exercise, I'll do it with people because it's kind of fun. But I agree from that assessment. It's hard to say, well, this player is this better than this player because of this. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, Pierre, are you a fan of Barstool Sports? What is your opinion on Barstool Sports?
I would call myself a loose fan. There are a couple of things that they do that I enjoy, but I wouldn't say I'm an overt consumer.
Okay, so Carter Smith is a quarterback from Fort Myers, Florida, my hometown, at my alma mater, Bishopville High School.
Yeah.
I've been following his career very closely because last year as a junior, and I don't know if he was one of the most decorated quarterbacks in Florida. Had this fantastic year. He's probably the best player that's ever come through our high school, bar none. And he, verbally pledged to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh at the time, obviously. Yesterday, this morning, he officially decommitted from Michigan, and the story to me is fascinating in the new era, and I want to run it by you and get your thoughts and opinions on this because it has to do with Barstool Sports, and here's how this intersects. Barstool Sports, my high school, Michigan, Garrett's favorite team, and the quarterback that they have currently committed. Name, image, and likeness. This is modern-day college football at its peak. And we're going to talk about it next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports and the Triple Option's own damn channel.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. UT Parking, does Paul want us to start watching on the Triple Option channel? Eventually, yes. But we're doing both. I have both. Here's what you can do just to help me out. Open up two windows in your browser and just run them both at the same time and mute one.
You can do that?
Yeah.
That's technology. That's technology at its finest.
Because I'm doing that right now. I'm on either one. I'm on either one. Back and forth, back and forth. This is me clicking. I'm not even looking. Back and forth.
We are people of a two-screen experience nowadays. Not one. It's a two-screen experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've talked at length about my love of the YouTube TV and the 4 boxes that you can watch football games on.
Yep.
My wife, God bless her, she wants to get one of those rolling monitors that you can use as an iPad, like the LG things, and you can pull up on the screen. We have an Alexa in the kitchen, like an Echo Show, and then we could have this that could roll in and put some other stuff on. She's bought in. These are things that,
It's one of those
I never thought possible.
And I have to imagine it's once you have it, you think to yourself, how did we we possibly manage and live before this? It's just, how did we do this? This life is so much better now. So much better.
I love your shirt, by the way, Pierre.
Yeah. No, it's a throwback.
What website did you get it from?
Well, I didn't get it working for the fine people of Fox. I get benefits because Fox owned the TV broadcast to the former USFL before the merge happened. So
good deal. Well, props to you on that. But it's great. I love to read. When you'll find this out, Pierre, your reading will drop a little bit when you get married because the minute you open a book is when your wife wants to have a really in-depth conversation about something that's been bothering her.
Yeah.
So, or you're on a plane to Hawaii and you've been flying for 30 minutes and you're like, all right, well, we haven't really said anything to each other. She looks about to nod off. So I'll start my book now. And then I'll read 4 pages and she'll say something to me. I'm like, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. You're not talking to me like, we're on this plane for 8 hours. I can finish this book in 3 if you just leave me alone.
The hard part too is like you do the like you kind of have like you wait for the pause, and then you kind of do the little bit of the side turn. Is like, is this conversation over? Can I safely go back to this now? I'm not sure. Yeah. But I haven't experienced that part yet. The one thing I have experienced since, not really since we got engaged, but living together, every time I sit down, without clockwork, and I'm doing stuff before I sit down, clockwork. The moment I sit down on the couch, hey, can you help me open something? Hey, can you cut?
Welcome aboard, my friend.
Just the moment.
Garrett?
The moment. I've just been parading around the apartment for the previous 30 minutes doing stuff. I'm up. I can do stuff. Just the moment I sit down, hey, can you get me some water?
Here's what I figured out. When and this is not true with like a non-permanent relationship, right? So living together, engaged, married. This is where this starts.
Yeah.
Here's what I found out. My wife is by no means, she's the least lazy person in the world. She hates laziness. But women, like, for the most part, I think, are go, 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 go. Garrett, stop me if I
think it just depends. My wife's not so much go, go, go.
Anyway, but she's go, go, go. But once she's made the decision that she is sitting down, the time is shifted where I've got to get up and do it because this is my sitting down time. I'm sitting here. I'm comfortable. I've done all these things today. I'm really happy to be off my feet. The least you could do is get me a water, open a jar, tell me if we're out of crackers or not.
Yeah.
So early on, it would happen. I'd be like, what is happening here? Like, I just sat down.
Yeah.
But it took me longer than I care to admit. But about 6 months in, I realized, like, oh, no. Now this is how it is. And it's taken me till now to just go, yep.
I'm having a very similar experience because my fiance is like your wife. Like I said, this is a woman who just does not. She can't sit still. She sits on the couch in the middle of the afternoon. She sits on the couch for more than 5 minutes. You would think she's going to start an earthquake with how jittery she's going to get. I have to be doing something. I got to go out. I got to do this. I got to do that. But yes, you're right. The moment she sits down, it's done. It's a done deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Pierre, let's get into what I wanted to talk about. So Carter Smith is a 4-star quarterback from Fort Myers, Florida, Bishopville High School. Obviously, he'll be the second most famous person to graduate from there.
Of course. Yes.
I don't want him to have goals where I would like to be more famous than Paul Catalina.
It's a high bar.
But let's just say second. And so I'm on Twitter this morning and I see that he's decommitted from Michigan. And I don't follow my high school all that much. It's hard to do it from over here. Yeah. But I see it, social media, friends and things. A very dear friend of mine is the athletic director. And so, I follow it and see things. So I know what's going on. But ultimately, I don't follow that close. But when Carter Smith committed to Michigan, I was like, oh, hey, I want to follow this kid's career because – again, we're a small Catholic high school, very small Catholic high school. We don't get kids going to Michigan to play football. We've had kids go to big schools. My friend, I get to actually see him next weekend. He went to Notre Dame to play baseball. That was a huge one, right?
Leatu Latu went to my high school. Now first-round pick of the Colts. That's a similar situation, Catholic. I totally know what you mean. Yeah.
So, we're not Duncanville or LaSalle or St. Thomas Aquinas, these massive high schools that just churn out. When you go to Duncanville High School, they're like, oh, hey, would you like to walk down the hall of the 700 NFL players that we've produced? Here's a freshman who could probably play for the Ravens right now. We're not even picking a bad team he can play for. He can play for the freaking Ravens because he runs a 4.1.
Yeah.
He's 6'3", 225, runs a 4.1. He'll play whatever position you tell him to do, he only thinks about football and steak, those kind of things. So I followed him. I'm very curious about it. And so I see this morning he's decommitted from Michigan. And I thought, well, that's odd. And so then I start seeing that Michigan is making a push for Bryce Underwood. Then it occurs to me that, I don't know, what, 2 months ago, Garrett? Right at the beginning of the season.
Man, it was like a month and a half ago,
About a month and a half ago, after Michigan had lost a couple games because look, the only reason that Michigan's losing games is they have no quarterback.
Yeah.
Everything else is fine.
Yeah.
Everything else is totally fine. And nobody in that football team thought, like, do these guys all suck at this position? That will be fine. We're Michigan. No. Like, this is where you go out and, maybe like, okay, let me ask you this. If you were Cam Ward, although, the offense at Michigan, would you rather go to Miami or Michigan, who just won the national title? I mean, but they didn't get in that business. And maybe he's not a fit offensively because he's more of a spread guy. But, you let Ohio State get Will Howard. Look, Will Howard would be amazing in the Michigan offense. Amazing in that offense.
Yeah.
So here they are reeling about a quarterback. Well, Barstool CEO Dave Portnoy is a Michigan man, and he will tell you that every chance he gets.
Yep.
Very loudly in the Portnoy way.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
So he's always talking about, I'm a Michigan man, I'm a Michigan man, I'm a Michigan man, right? So he did an interview about a month and a half ago where he said, look, I've talked to Sharon Moore. I've told him he's got $1 million, right? He said he personally would pay $1 million for the quarterback, which, again, you give me Portnoy money, Florida State. Like, just make sure, like, here's what Florida State needs to do. I'll just tell you right now. Florida State needs to make sure that I get Portnoy money. If you can point me in the direction that I'm the guy with the Portnoy money, I promise you, I know this stuff better than most. I could do some things. I don't mean to be braggadocious, but I really do think that I could save them from themselves in a lot of regards. And I've seen a lot, bad coaching decisions. Believe me, the basketball team would not stink anymore. And we're winning a College World Series, or I will die and be buried at Dick Howser Field. And until they win one, my mummified hand will be up out of the ground in center field.
Forget Allstate. You're in good hands with Catalina. I tell you, you give all the money, you're in good hands.
Exactly.
I promise you.
So, but Dave Portnoy said he told me the guy. Well, obviously, I mean, kind of like this now you see it. There's too many dots to connect, but what Sharon Moore did was kind of illegal and telling, but it's every coach does it. I mean, I think it's dumb that they can't talk about recruits in at least a casual fashion. It's like if they all talked about it, it'd be fine. Like, yes, we'd like to get them, but I understand why. Like, it's really complicated and difficult to police. As it is with as many rules as there aren't now, but it's difficult. So Bryce Underwood has been committed to LSU for several months.
299 days exactly.
Yeah, okay. See, Garrett knows as an LSU fan. 299 days. And so that was the guy. And look, he's the number one. He or Deuce Knight, would you say those are the 1-2 quarterbacks?
They're up there.
Deuce Knight was committed to Notre Dame. Now he's committed to Auburn. I bet you he probably goes to Auburn because it's kind of late in the game now. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see somebody swoop in and be like, really? Auburn? You really? I mean, especially if, say, Cam Coleman is like, this was bad. I didn't have any fun.
I didn't like this,
Yeah. I'll go back to A&M where I was originally committed because that looks fun. They've got Marcel Reed. Look, I'll tell you, if that happens, if Cam Coleman from Auburn, where he was originally committed to A&M, goes back to A&M, I will not be surprised. Will not be surprised.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all.
Yeah.
So Bryce Underwood is now the target. So let's just do some quick investigating here. I wish I had a board with yarn. I assume that the guy that Barstool is offering $1 million to is Bryce Underwood.
Correct. Absolutely is.
We can't definitively prove that right now because that's not how these things work, but it appears that that's going to happen. Now, does LSU have a Barstool? No.
No.
They don't. And they also had a coach that very publicly not even a year ago in spring football said, look, we are comfortable with our NIL where it is. We're always going to try to get more. And I really like that he said this, but he said, look, I'm not going to get in the business of getting in a bidding war because it just doesn't end well. So my assumption, and I think that's a good plan, but it's really going to suck for LSU because they've got a lot riding on Bryce Underwood coming there, is that he's not going to, like, he might make a counter offer and say, do you really want to come here? Here's what we can do. But my assumption is that Bryce Underwood will probably go to Michigan if that's all it's about for him. Now, and LSU is going to be back to the drawing board with Underwood. So your opinion on all this, and that this is modern college football at its absolute peak.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, my thought is, and I understand what you mean with Sherrone Moore. It's like, I agree with you completely. It's like everybody knows what's going on. It's already out there in the public. Why are you going to hold these coaches to this type of standard that really is in somewhat way unfair to them? But I guess I get it to some degree. But in my opinion, Dave Portnoy, like you said, from what I said previously, I'm not an overt Barstool Sports consumer, but I know the players in this arena. I certainly know who they are and what they do, and I see some of the stuff that they do. And I'm well aware that he's absolutely a Michigan man. And if this is where we are right now, for a media company, because Barstool Sports is a media company, for them to put up $1 million to get the quarterback of their choosing, should I feel upset about it? I don't feel like I should, because I fully am aware and understanding that this is the world that we're living in now. And if this is the guy you want to go after, and if somebody else doesn't want to match the offer, that sounds like the free market to me. Why should I be up in arms about it? I'm trying to find a reason why I should be.
I'm not, but I don't think it's all you're only outraged because Garrett's not mad because of the idea of this. He's mad because it's happening directly to him as a fan.
This is personal.
That part with Garrett, that part I'm well aware, and I feel his pain in that regard. If it comes to fruition, that's going to be the situation. But I mean, it's kind of like, hey, you got outbid. This is just, you're at the auction. Elaine Bennett is at the auction trying to get the JFK clubs.
Yeah.
She's got to outdo, her arch nemesis in the freaking, what's her name, Paul?
Sue Ellen Mishke.
So she's got to outdo Sue Ellen Mishke.
The O. Henry candy bar heiress.
That's right. Hell or high water, you got to get those clubs. So it's kind of like, well, I don't know what to tell you. You probably need 1.1. If you want to keep them, you need 1.1.
Yeah. So I think that this is how it is, but the schools with the big time sugar daddies are going to get this. I would warn Dave Portnoy though, be careful, because I know he has $1 million to throw around. I mean, he probably bets $1 million a year. He's not worried about going broke. He's not. Right. There's things I really like about him. There's things, again, that I don't agree with. There's something about his personality that might rub you the wrong way. But I do actually respect him quite a bit. I really do. I think what he's done is amazing. Yeah. Again, maybe some personal views that we would agree with, but I actually do think I would sit down and have a great talk with him.
From a business perspective, there's a lot. I don't know how you don't respect that part at bare minimum.
He's a big time supporter of small businesses. He very candidly says, look, part of the reason that I bought it back is because there's guys at this company who I really like, who I think are good dudes, but they're idiots, and they wouldn't get a job sacking groceries if I didn't have them here. This is the only function they can serve in life, and I don't want to get rid of them. And I really admire that. I thought, yes, that you're sticking up for you stick up for your guys. And look, he could actually, because of the Caller Daddy podcast, which he owns part of, but is part of that whole thing, he could never do another thing a day in his life and be fine. Just on that one. Right. Just on that one, it's so huge. So, he's got this money. I would tell him, be careful, because the minute you do it for Bryce Underwood, they'd be like, you know what Bryce Underwood really needs is 2 wide receivers, a running back, and a center that meshes with his personality.
Great point.
And then you're like, all right, well, that's not going to cost $1 million per, like, for that one guy, but that might be another $1 million you spread out amongst those guys.
Yeah, right.
So then, look, ask T. Boone Pickens or anybody that was at Texas, they're going to keep coming to the well. So just know that this is going to be like, you can't just be like, look, I got you Bryce Underwood, we're good now. No, man.
That's a you know what? That's a great point that you make, because once you set that standard, once you set that bar at that place, you're going to have to, people are going to come to you and be like, well, you did it for this guy. Why wouldn't it? Don't you want Michigan? Don't you want us to be the number 1 team in the country week in and week out? This is what it's going to take. It like, the more money you spend, the more money you're going to have to spend later to maintain the status of where you want this program to be. So, and what does that look like? Whether it's more players, whether it's, gym equipment, whether it's, whatever the standard is to get these athletes at your university, the cost of doing business is only going to go up higher and higher the more you set the precedent as you go along. So, yeah, I think you bring up an excellent point. I think it's an excellent point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, God, our chat room is so wild. They're not talking about what we're talking about, but I do find it. This is the new world, and so this is just a message to Florida State. I don't have Portnoy money, but if you want someone who will come to the rescue like that, I could be that guy. I just need you guys to invest in me, like point me in the right direction where we can get some, Fortune 100 VCs involved in this and pushing, our agenda out to the world. That's all I'm saying.
You could be a very wealthy middleman at this point, for Florida State. You really could. You really could.
Yeah. Look, here's what I'll tell you. Here's the good news. Here's the good news for another university. I'll tell you, Kansas basketball, if you want to get involved in this, I would have a fiduciary responsibility my wife cares about Kansas basketball more than I care about Florida State anything.
Which is saying something. Saying something. Yeah.
Yes. She cares about that a lot. So the only way that I can get away with that is to make sure, one, that we find some medical technology that Bill Self doesn't age and never retires and keeps going for 100 years. Or at least outlives Amanda, and then I can do this. So Florida State and Kansas, I'm presenting you with a unique joint opportunity here. That if you can, what did Cat Williams say about Kevin Hart? That like Kevin Hart was like the industry like brought him up, like he was a plant. Like they like decided we're going to make Kevin Hart a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that. I'll do that.
Sure.
I will do that, but I need your help, and then I will pay it. I will pay it forward, man. I will absolutely pay it forward to you.
You don't think that me and you would want to be living that Kevin Hart lifestyle right now? Are you kidding me?
Invest in that. Invest in this.
Yeah. I would actually slice 7 inches off my height just to live that Kevin Hart lifestyle that he's living right now. 100%. I really would.
Yeah.
Why not?
He's got an underwear company. He's got like, what is he not? He's got like a fast food chain.
Yeah.
What does he not have?
I don't know. He's in commercials with LeBron. I don't know what he's doing, but at the same time too, he's kind of a guy too, where I'm like, who doesn't like Kevin Hart? He's
Cat Williams.
Cat Williams. Yeah. And that's listen, if you don't like Kevin Hart, I'm starting to think there's something that might be wrong with you. Like, it's what's not to like? He's a great dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'll have to throw a dart in the chat room, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about Ohio State, Penn State, and this seismic game here in the Big Ten. This is the Triple Option on 2 different YouTube channels.
Fantasy Sports EVO, the next evolution of daily fantasy sports. Tired of traditional fantasy sports where you spend hours upon hours studying individual players? EVO's unique team-based platform makes it easier than ever for all sports fans to play. No need to know individual players. Just choose your contest, select your teams, and enjoy the game. Whether you access our website from a desktop, mobile device, or the app, the experience is the same. EVO is for all sports fans. Join Fantasy Sports EVO and experience the evolution.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back, Paul Catalina, Pierre, Noujaim. Pierre, Ohio State, Penn State this weekend. Drew Aller, game time decision. Game time decision to me usually is never good news.
Yeah.
Like, it's never good news. Maybe it'll work out, but I think it worries me. I don't know what they can do without him. He's been really good this year. But if he does play and he's healthy enough, is this where James Franklin finally does it?
To be honest with you, no, I don't think it is. And actually, the way that I'm so glad that you phrased it this way, because I was thinking this is going to be a terrible way to say it, but the unfortunate part of Drew Aller being a game time decision, and if Drew Aller does not play, it kind of undermines the storyline of that very question. Will James Franklin finally be able to pull off the big one? Even with a healthy Drew Aller, personally, I would have thought, or I would think that Ohio State was still going to win the game. Even though Ohio State hasn't looked great over their last two games, I fully understand it, but I don't trust James Franklin to come up big in a big performance type game like this, even though the game is at Penn State. This is Penn State's chance. It feels like, Paul, I don't want to use the phrase it's now or never, because James Franklin has been there, 7 or 8 seasons now at this point, maybe even more. I don't even remember how long he's been there at this point. But even if Penn State loses this game with or without Drew Aller, Penn State will likely be in the top 12 by the end of the season. So if Penn State loses this game to Ohio State, and if you're a big-time supporter of Penn State, maybe if you're a booster out there, my question to you would be this. How far would Penn State have to get in the college football playoff in order for you to want to continue to ride this ride? To me, you would have to be at bare minimum the Final Four, at bare minimum, in my opinion, because I have yet to see any evidence that this program, while it continues to be in the top 10 year in and year out, it's always, you're very good, but you're just not good enough. And how long do you continue to allow not being good enough continue? That's really the question that surrounds this program.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. If they don't look, they're going to wind up in the playoff probably no matter what, Penn State
right
is.
Yeah.
But when they go to the playoff, do I have faith that they can beat anybody? No, because when they play against playoff teams, Penn State loses.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And this is the problem that we have with this program, and that's why we're talking about it, because this program, well, what are they ranked now? Third. They're third in the nation right now. Do you have any confidence? Does this team inspire you? Or when you watch this team, do you really think that they're going to go out there against Georgia, against maybe Texas, some of these other teams? I mean, who knows? Even though I don't think Miami is all that great, I don't know if they beat Miami. I don't know if that team beats Miami. So this is, like I said, this is the merry-go-round we've been going around and around with this program for the last 4 or 5 years. We keep waiting for them to break down the door to probably or possibly supplant Ohio State or Michigan. They haven't been able to do it. They have not been able to do it. So what reason do I have to believe that this Saturday is going to be any different, even if Drew Aller is healthy enough to play?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm picking Ohio State. I just have no faith.
Same.
And I think also this is where the rubber meets the road. Like it really is. So I'm picking Ohio State. But I do think that I said all season long, I thought Ohio State had the best roster in the country. I still think that's mostly true. Texas is close. But both of them have shown to be vulnerable. And Ohio State in particular to me has shown to be very vulnerable, especially since last week they are a couple of calls away from getting upset by Nebraska.
Yeah.
And by the way, Nebraska gets bowl eligible this week when they beat UCLA, and then everyone can take a breathe a sigh of relief, and whatever happens against Wisconsin and Iowa down the stretch, it will be fine. It'll be fine. But as long as they get in a bowl game, that's improvement. That's Matt Rule year 2. Matt Rule year 3 is where you see the big jump, because it's when you've got guys who understand, they've bought in, and now they've got a singular mission. But
agreed.
But on Ohio State, I just think they win. I think they've got a little bit more, but I would not be surprised. I mean, I think this could be a close game, but if Drew Aller doesn't play, I just, I don't know. I have no faith that they can really pull it off. But if they do, then James Franklin, he might be able to get rid of some of the aura that the Big Ten has poured on Penn State over a while of, all right, yeah, you can have one good win every 7-8 years, but they beat Ohio State 4 or 5 years ago. They beat them, and it was like a big deal. And then they turned right around after that and lost to 2 teams they had no business losing to.
They lost at Minnesota back in 2019 in the snow game. So my other thing with this is even if they win the game, if they beat Ohio State and they're going to be riding such a high, perhaps they finish the season undefeated. We'll give it after they beat Ohio State. Very good chance if that happens. Once they get to the playoff, would anything short of a national title game appearance be acceptable at that point? I mean, this is the conundrum I keep facing with this program and with James Franklin at the helm.
Yeah, I know. They need to I think for him to help build their reputation, they need to get to the playoff. They need to win at least one of those games. Just win a playoff game.
Minimum
win
one.
A playoff game, and then after that, here's the thing. This is new. Eventually, we'll look at college football like we do the NFL, because it's or like we do college basketball. In college basketball, if you're a team that it claims to be on the top tier, if you're Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, where Gonzaga, where Baylor wants to be, where they think they are now, which I think they are. If you're one of those teams, Houston, Arizona, listed at Kentucky, Louisville, all of them, your bare minimum is second weekend most every year.
Yeah.
Sure, you're going to get a bad matchup every now and again. It gets bounced maybe a couple years because, you don't shoot threes well, and then the team you get is the number 1 3-point shooting team from the Missouri Valley Conference, and they hit 10 of them in the first half, and you're like, what is going on here?
Don't show Amanda this, but Ali Farouk Manesh at Northern Iowa, perhaps bouncing Kansas in the round of 32 about 10 years ago. More than 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, those kind of things happen. But if you are getting to the Sweet 16 most of the time, then you're doing the right thing, because the NCAA tournament is a crazy, crazy thing.
Right.
It's just you can feel it when you're in the building, how different it is than just a normal day.
Totally agree.
It's just such a crazy thing. And the playoff, I think, will be like this, where because we've been so used to inevitability in college football, now that that's changing, you have all this other stuff going on. I think that you'll see the tide shift a little bit to where, look, if I'm a fan, I want my team to be in the top 12, let's just say 3 out of 5 years, 2 out of 5 at worst, right? And if they're not in the top 12, I want them to be in the top 20, about to be in the top 12.
Yeah.
That's my expectation, because the talent will move around, revenue sharing will change this. There's going to be a lot of things that are kind of shifting. But Penn State needs to probably do that more now for the immediacy of their program, because just for so long, they've been just on the outside looking in going if we only had this, if we only had that everybody else does. They just got to win those big games when they're presented to them.
Yeah, and here's your opportunity staring you right in the face. But, and this is really the unfortunate part. I mean, if Drew Aller doesn't play, then there's your built-in excuse right there, which I'm not saying isn't legitimate. It is. You're missing your starting quarterback, and a quarterback who has played great football for you all year long. So, of course, yes, it's going to make a difference. But it just, the feeling of it for me will not be any different. Even though I know if Drew Aller doesn't play, the feeling of it when the end result is Ohio State winning the game, the feeling won't be any different for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Pierre, I wanted to close the show with this today, and it's a sad note, and a lot of people watching won't know about Chris Radcliffe, but if you're local here in Waco, you certainly know him. He's been in the air for almost 20 years, tragically passed away yesterday. We were friends with him. You worked directly with him for several years. My heart goes out to his family. He was a girl dad's girl dad, man. I mean, he was a girl dad, and was so proud of his daughters. And, my heart was broken when I got the news yesterday. I know you feel the same way that we lost Chris. And I just wanted us to, to let people, sometimes you just, even though you may not know a person, just let him know that, like, he made a difference in our lives and the people around him. Nobody ever had a bad word to say about Radcliffe. Early in my career, he really did help me with a lot of things just by, like, positive encouragement or ideas, coming in, co-hosting the show with me a couple times when I first started, and making me feel really at ease, telling me stories. His dad was the Lakers PA announcer for like 100 years. And, you name a Lakers player, they knew his dad. He played baseball with Jason Kendall. Like, they were very close friends. It was really, like, just a really good guy to know. And the world is a sadder place without him in it now. And just wanted us to just pay tribute to our friend.
Yeah, and I got a text yesterday, and it certainly came as a shock. And Chris and I were kind of ships in the night at KCEN because he would work the morning shift and I would work the night shift. But every once in a while, when we would get a chance to work together or see each other, the thing that I was always left with him is just his infectious energy. He just always seemed to be in a great mood, just picking everybody else up. And he was a great representation for the station and for the community. And, like, he's from Southern California, but he just seemed to embrace the Central Texas community like it was his home, and it did become his home over the last 20 years. And my heart goes out to Eden and the girls. It was a shock. It's a real shock. And yeah, you said it. We are today's a little bit more of a somber day than the days past.
It is. But again, Eden, the girls, I have not seen Eden in a very, like, I think we're Nikki Lorenzo's going away party was the last time I saw her, but I'd run into Chris at things from time to time. I probably haven't seen him in 18 months or so. But just heartbroken to hear the news.
He'd be a frequent at Baylor games. Yeah, he'd be a frequent at Baylor games, both football and basketball. And
actually, I think that's the last place I saw him was at a Baylor basketball game.
Yeah,
doing that. So just really sad news. And Eden, girls, like, you have a lot more people behind you, even people you may not even know you. But Chris affected a lot of people, all in a positive way. We all love him and we miss him, and our heart goes out to you. Pierre, thank you so much. That's going to do it for our show today. Rest in peace, Chris. We love you and miss you. This is the Triple Option.